Now what we are going to do is we are going to start with the detailed study, a slightly detailed study of all the other fundamental rights, all the ones that are mentioned above. The first is right to equality from Articles 14 to 18. Students, wherever you write right to equality, the name of a fundamental right, you'll have to mention from articles where to where, which means Article 14 to Article 18. So, right to equality guarantees equal rights for everyone, irrespective of religion, gender, caste, race, or place of birth. It ensures equal employment opportunities in the government and ensures against discrimination by the state in matters of employment on the basis of caste and religion, etc. This right also includes the abolition of titles as well as untouchability. So students, anything you'd like to add or ask, basically, there's nothing to add. It's a very simple topic. So do you people want to ask anything regarding right to equality? It's very straightforward. All right. The next one is right to freedom. Right to freedom is therefore mentioned in Articles 19 to 22. Freedom is one of the most important ideals cherished by any democratic society. The Indian Constitution guarantees freedoms to citizens. The freedoms include many rights such as freedom of speech, expression of assembly without arms, freedom of association, freedom to practice any profession, freedom to reside in any part of the country. Okay? As simple as that. Nothing very in particular. There is nothing that will go above your heads. This is very simple. Third is right against exploitation. Articles 23 to 24. This right implies the prohibition of traffic in human beings, beggar, and other forms of forced labor. It also implies the prohibition of children in factories, etc. The Constitution prohibits the employment of children less than 14 years in hazardous conditions, which means any child who is, say, 13 years old, if found working in the factory, that is kind of a hazardous place, the owner of the factory shall be penalized very badly by the government if the government knows about it. Okay. Next is right to freedom of religion, specified under Articles 25 to 28. This indicates the secular nature of Indian polity. There is equal respect given to all religions. There is freedom of conscience, profession, practice, and propagation of religion. The state has no official religion. Every person has the right to freely practice his or her faith, establish and maintain religious and charitable institutions. Students, kindly underline these two lines, kindly highlight it. Every person has the right to freely practice his or her faith and establish and maintain religious and charitable institutions. Kindly underline these two lines. Next, cultural and educational rights, Articles 29 and 30. Okay. These rights protect the rights of religious, cultural, and linguistic minorities by facilitating them to preserve their heritage and culture. Educational rights are for ensuring education for everyone without any discrimination. Short and sweet, very simple. Right to constitutional remedies. The Constitution guarantees remedies if citizens' fundamental rights are violated. The government cannot infringe upon or curb anyone's rights. When these rights are violated, the aggrieved party can approach the court. Citizens can even go directly to the Supreme Court, which can issue writs for enforcing fundamental rights. I will tell you about the writs, whether or not it's provided in this chapter. Don't worry, we'll have a very good discussion about the five writs. Features of fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are different from ordinary legal rights in the manner in which they are enforced. If a legal right is violated, the aggrieved person cannot directly approach Supreme Court bypassing lower courts. He or she should first approach the lower courts. So the first feature is very simple, which says here that fundamental rights are not those ordinary rights, legal rights that are provided by the legal system. They are a set of completely different rights, and if fundamental rights get violated by somebody or anybody, then the person can go to a court to file a complaint about it or file a petition about it. But always remember, he or she cannot directly jump off to the Supreme Court. It depends upon matter to matter, the gravity of the matter that he's taking to the court. So he might, it's a good advice for first go to a lower court, then a high court, and then a Supreme Court if required. Right? Second feature, some of the fundamental rights are available to all citizens, while the rest are for all persons, citizens and foreigners. So students, there are certain fundamental rights which are just for citizens. For example, right to vote. Right to vote is just for citizens, while the rest are for all persons. For example, right against exploitation. For example, the state government in a factory makes a raid to check if children under the age of 14 are working or not. And what do they find? They find 3 children who are 12 and 13 years of age, and they are not even Indians. Say they are Bangladeshi, Sri Lankans, right? Or from any other country, and they are working here. So it's just not limited that right against exploitation is just for Indian children who are under the age of 14. If any children found from some any other nationality, it definitely means that he has come here due to unemployment and poverty. And if he's working here and the factory is making him work.
Your mic is off.
Yes, I'm sorry, got disconnected somehow. So yes. All right. So the second feature is clear to everyone. I hope no doubt about that. Next, fundamental rights are not absolute rights. They have reasonable restrictions, which mean they are subject to conditions of state security, public morality and decency, and friendly relationships with the foreign countries. Okay, so students, make one thing very clear, that whenever there is a fundamental right that has been provided to all of us, citizens of India, it definitely comes up with T and C applied. In simple language, terms and conditions are applied. There are certain restrictions, public morality, relationship with the foreign countries, all sorts of higher cadre conditions are applied to it. For example, let's take a very simple one, right to vote. You have a right to vote, but that doesn't mean you can vote 3 to 4 people, candidates at one time. No, you cannot. So there is a restriction, there is a limitation that you can just vote once and one for one candidate only, right? Next, they are justifiable, implying they are enforceable by courts. People can approach the Supreme Court directly in case of fundamental rights. Simple again, that's a repetition. Fundamental rights can be amended by the parliament via constitutional amendment only if the amendment does not alter the basic structure of the constitution. So students, yes, fundamental rights can be amended. It has been done previously also by the parliament, but then they have to keep in mind that they don't change the basic structure of the constitution. Okay. Next, fundamental rights can be suspended during a national emergency, but the rights guaranteed under Articles 20 and 21 cannot be suspended. That is, Article 20 and 21 are basically about right to life and personal liberty. Okay. The application of fundamental rights can be restricted in an area which has been placed under martial law or military rule. This is also a very tough commitment, that if an area is under military rule or martial law, which means there is some grave problem in that area, the application of fundamental rights will be restricted in that particular area. Students, the next is fundamental rights available only to citizens. Kindly go through all of this. I don't have to teach you anything in this. You will understand as to these ones are those which are only and only available to citizens, not everyone.